Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by
811 is the number to call before you dig. 811 will help avoid fines, knocking out utility service, even injury. So call 811 before you dig.
And James Limousine, driven to serve Richmond for 22 years. JamesLimousine.com, 804-273-1540.
Pitch to Duffy, driven to deep right center field. He'll pull into third with a triple. Flashed into left field. Duffy's got it. The shovel to Tomlinson. Relay on to first and Pisa. Swung on and missed. Speared by Blackburn. Parker galloping in. Will slide and make the catch.
Hello again and welcome into Flying Squirrels Insider. I'm your host, Jay Burnham. Soon to be joined by my man Burnham and Sam Hyman as we break down the 2015 Flying Squirrels push towards the postseason. But first, we'd like to welcome back one of our community partners, Utility Buddy, from the City of Richmond Department of Public Utilities. Utility Buddy is instrumental in conveying safety messages about natural gas, stormwater drainage, and calling 811 before you dig. To learn more information, visit richmondgov.com/DPU or call 646-7000. DPU is here for you. Also, as always, if you want to win free stuff, just text us FSI to 63975. Mobile marketing services provided by Opt-in Technologies. With that said, I'd like to welcome in a crucial part of our broadcast team, Mr. Sam Hyman. Sam, thanks for being here today.
Happy to be here, Jay. Ready to decipher some Flying Squirrels baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming back from a road trip that began rather well for the Flying Squirrels. Richmond was just a game back of the Bowie Bay Sox entering that trip, winning the first two games, but having some trouble in Altoona. Squirrels, as we record this, have lost 5 straight. This team has been pretty streaky.
Yeah, 6 wins in a row and then 5 straight losses. It's been a tough road trip. They won the first 2 actually against the Erie Seawolves and then kind of took a step back, including a 10-1 loss. So the Flying Squirrels, they've really struggled of late, not only just in the run column, but also the pitching a bit struggling as well.
Yeah, and the streakiness for the Flying Squirrels, you think it's amazing. They hadn't lost 5 straight games outside of the 15-game losing streak at the beginning of the season. But talking with some of the guys, you look at the winning streak that the Squirrels have had. 4 times they've come just 1 game shy of matching the franchise record of 7 consecutive victories. Couldn't get over that hump, but certainly the pitching has led this team with those winning streaks. But at the top of the order, it's really been Angel Beltre that's been able to get it going for the Flying Squirrels.
Yeah, absolutely. Angel Beltre has compiled a tremendous hitting streak that unfortunately ended, but 17 games consecutively hitting base, a guy at the top of the order who just arrived here on June 3rd. He hasn't even been here this entire season, and he's been able to hit the baseball consecutively in 17 games, breaking Mac Williamson's streak for the longest this season and almost breaking the franchise record.
Yeah, and he's really been the engine at the top of the order for the Flying Squirrels. Angel Beltre, here's a guy that began the season at AAA with Charlotte in the Chicago White Sox organization. Wasn't really fully healthy, now looking like he's back to his old self, a guy that played in the big leagues a couple of years ago. So him getting things going for the offense. However, the past 2 nights, Squirrels were in one of those droughts where they've been shut out on consecutive games in that Altoona series.
Yeah, 5 hits, 5 hits in those 2 games. It's been a struggle for the Flying Squirrels offensively. They've gone 20 consecutive innings without a run, so it's been a tough time for them. But they do have a couple of guys in the lineup that have shown bright spots in Hunter Cole and Austin Slater, 2 guys that had to come up because of the promotions of Kelby Tomlinson and Mac Williamson. So those guys have solidified themselves and impressed.
Yeah, not only have they solidified themselves, they've really put themselves on the radar for the prospect status of those who pontificate about baseball prospects and trying to join those top 30 lists for Baseball America. Hunter Cole, people really like the way that the ball jumps off his bat. Austin Slater transitioning to second base has been pretty fluid there. So for those guys, what has happened, Sam, and this hasn't happened in a couple of years, is that you really have stability in the lineup. You start with Angel Beltre. Mitch Delfino looks like he's settling into the 4 spot. Hunter Cole as your 3 hitter, then Austin Slater and Ricky Oropesa to follow, or vice versa. And so you've got that stability 1 through 9 essentially for the team.
Right, and it's crazy because Hunter Cole, a number 3 hitter, he came in with his first 16 games, only 2 RBIs, and a guy in the number 3 spot in the order, you would expect him to drive guys in. And in the last, since June 17th, he's been able to drive in 7 guys that were on base, so it's been impressive. You've clearly seen the increase not only in driving guys in, but also for average, as he leads the team with a .304 batting average.
Yeah, these guys have really made a difference for the Flying Squirrels, and we mentioned the offensive rut, but still feeling as though this is a team that can compete. Richmond just 5 games behind out of first place. They had an opportunity to jump over Altoona for second place, but were swept by the Altoona Curve in the most recent series. So they start a big homestand this weekend against the New York Mets affiliate and the Toronto Blue Jays affiliate. And you mentioned those guys, Cole and Slater. They're also joined by some other 22-year-olds. Keep in mind this team is rather young. The pitching has been led by Tyler Beatty, 22 years of age, Adalberto Mejia, 22 years of age, and another guy jumping a level from Augusta all the way up here to Richmond, Matt Gage, making 3 starts in this rotation. He has been superb.
Yeah, we might as well call this Flying Squirrels team now the 22 team. There's so many youngsters now with those recent promotions in late June. And that rotation now, as you mentioned, is bolstered by a bunch of youngsters, Tyler Beatty and Matt Gage. But Matt Gage in particular, this is a guy that came up in kind of an unexpected role on July 17th, has made 3 AA starts, and all of them have been pretty impressive for the most part.
Yeah, for the most part, indeed. In fact, his last outing, he was hit with the loss. Unfortunately, pitched well enough, actually allowed just 1 run. He didn't even allow it in himself. It was a ball that scored on as the relief pitcher Jose Casilla came in. So for a guy, Matt Gage, who actually matched a record for the Flying Squirrels, winning his first 2 starts at the AA level, only accomplished 1 other time, that being Justin Fitzgerald back in 2011. So he certainly has held his own, again, skipping a level from Augusta up to here in Richmond. So that rotation has been solidified. Unfortunately, Adalberto Mejia, the other 22-year-old we were talking about, placed on the disabled list this morning as we just arrived to the ballpark. So they're going to have a little bit of a hole to fill in that.
Yeah, and man, does it kind of stink on that side of things for the Flying Squirrels pitching staff, because they've gotten so many guys kind of had to fill in, like Johan Gregorio for a couple of spot starts. He's made 3 on the season. So Gregorio has had to come in and fill the void. And now Adalberto Mejia goes down on the disabled list. But still, I mean, you've had guys come in and fill gaps. And that's where Joe Biagini and Kelvin Marte really help. Yeah,
those 2 guys have been so lockstep in the rotation. They go 7 innings each and every time, so you really save the rest of the bullpen. The Squirrels rolling with a 6-man rotation, and then that 6th man, as we mentioned, being a bullpen start every 6 days. So Gregorio filling in nicely. Edwin Quirarte has been so pivotal in every single role that the Giants have asked him to accomplish, and that leaves the rest of the bullpen some work in the back end, where you have our James Limousine luxury guest of the week, Tyler Mizenko, who will join us here in just a bit as well. But Kyle Crick has been an interesting case for the Flying Squirrels. Here's a guy that was a top prospect for the Giants, still considered so, moved out of the rotation into the bullpen, and it looks like he's starting to figure things out.
He really does, and we knew coming in this would be a control struggle for Kyle Crick. The most part of the season, he's really had a problem locating the fastball, mixing in the curveball, but of late, he's gone about 4 innings in his last 4 outings, and he's only walked 2 batters. So that's a clear case that Kyle Crick is showing some signs.
Yeah, some small victories for Kyle Crick. You get a scoreless inning, you don't walk anybody. Power fastball, really live fastball, jumps in on hitters no matter how hard he throws it. So for him to see him turn around, then you have other guys that you can pitch in the 8th and 9th innings. The return of Derek Law coming back from Tommy John surgery. And our guest today, Tyler Mazenko. How does he get ground ball outs all the time? Because he has been so fluid in that spot.
Yeah, you could predict every time almost Tyler Mazenko is going to get you a ground ball, whether it's softly hit or a hard ground ball for a double play. But Mazenko's been huge. He's been a lockdown savior. And ever since Josh Osich left, we talked about how Hunter Cole and Austin Slater have filled the voids of Mac Williamson and Kelby Tomlinson. Well, how about what Tyler Mazenko has been able to do to come in and, you know, you don't have a set closer, but He's been one guy that's really helped.
Yeah, and for these guys, as we approach the trade deadline and it comes and goes, these guys hear their names floated out there in trade rumors, and they know, you mentioned Josh Osich, Ryan Lawless as well, two guys that were with the Squirrels this year that have played in the big leagues. So these guys know if they put together a solid stretch of performance, then they might have a shot to get to the big leagues. If it's not with the Giants, then with another team as early as this season. Well, Sam, the Squirrels had that opportunity. We're just under the 40-game mark left. They squandered it, I would say, in Altoona, getting swept, but still a lot of time left. This team has an opportunity to make the playoffs.
Yeah, they really do, and they were at one point a season best, 8 games above 500, now just 53-50 to this point, but they do have an opportunity. It's a log jam in the Western Division. Altoona's 2 games back. Richmond is 5 games back. At one point, they were a game back for a string of days during that winning streak, so they definitely have the opportunity. They'll face Bowie once more, so there is definitely a chance and a big chance to really go upwards in the Western Division.
They'll face Bowie. They'll also face Altoona, the 2 teams that are ahead of them in the Western Division. Still plenty of time for the Flying Squirrels. Those teams, by the way, have lost some of their players recently up to AAA. You feel as though the Squirrels right now, this is the unit that they're going to go forward with for the rest of the season.
Yeah, they have to, and I mean, it's still, you have to go back to guys like Hunter Cole, who've been so steady of late. He had a 4-hit game a couple of nights ago. He's been huge, and these guys now know, and they're not going to think about anybody getting promoted, because in the beginning portion of the season, you know guys are going to move up and move down.
Well, the Flying Squirrels have an opportunity to turn things around on this homestand. Sam, thanks for being here.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
All right, Flying Squirrels, so much more here on FSI as our own Morgan Conklin finds out what it's like to be a crucial part of the team but never play a game. And Adam Sonneben's story is up next here on Flying Squirrels Insider.
Squirrels fans have seen him, but they don't know his story. Undrafted out of college, Adam Sonneben was given an opportunity to become the Giants' organizational bullpen catcher. He suits up every day with no guaranteed playing time in order to put his team before himself. But he sees his unpredictable journey as a blessing. Most things Sonneben does are behind the scenes, but that doesn't mean they go unnoticed by his teammates. On game days, he has already done a full day's worth of work before the first pitch is even thrown.
Every day he's catching bullpens, whether it's 5 or 8. By the end of BP, he's gassed, and that's before the game even starts. And everyone sees that. Everyone knows how hard he works.
He does a lot for us. He does pretty much everything for us. He gets us ready for the game. He gets us ready to do our job out there.
As an extra catcher, Sonneben has been able to work with pitchers one-on-one and help them strengthen their weaknesses.
He helps us every day, especially me. I've struggled. I was struggling with a few things at the beginning of the season, and once he got here, we sort of got back onto a little routine, working on certain pitches, making sure they're tighter. And his knowledge of baseball and pitching it's incredible.
Sonneben has been able to use this experience in AA Richmond as a place to learn from more experienced players.
It's been unpredictable, and it's been a great learning experience though. It's been a lot of fun, and I've spent some considerable time here in AA. I spent about 2.5 weeks in AAA, so also just a huge learning experience, learning from guys who have been around the game a lot longer than I have. So that's been really great.
Newcomer Sonneben has earned the respect of an experienced catcher in Jackson Williams.
I have tremendous respect for the guy. It's not an easy job coming to the ballpark every day, but still put in the work. We've had some early work sessions out on the field, throwing to the bases, and basically I'm here for anything that he needs. If he's got any questions or wants any help on anything, I'm here to help him.
I didn't get drafted. It was a huge letdown because that's something obviously that I've been working for my whole life. It just seemed like it felt like everything I'd worked for, it was kind of all for naught. And it seemed like it was probably the end of the road right there.
You definitely learn a lot about a person when they go through a struggle, and you can tell that this kid's worked his butt off for a long time and definitely deserves it.
Sonneben has been given an opportunity to compete and make his teammates better, and it has allowed him to focus more on having fun while playing.
I really learned to be grateful for everything the game's given me. I was trying to find a way to keep playing. So I was working at like a batting cage, doing some lesson stuff, working with kids and just trying to stay in shape. A coach who I've had since high school told me he contacted the Giants and that they might have an opportunity for me and to call him. So I called him that night, and then so I got to Texas. The very next day I drove all the way back to Arizona. it was one of those things that you just can't really explain, you know. I'm driving out there in the middle of nowhere, and I just, all of a sudden, I feel like, hey, I'm exactly where I need to be. And it turns out, you know, like 24 hours later or whatever it was, that I got the opportunity with the Giants to come in and be a bullpen catcher.
And the amount of work that you see a guy like Sonan put in on a daily basis, from getting to the field earlier than everyone most days and getting out of here at the end when everyone's already gone, it really makes you, want to push yourself harder.
He has the good attitude. He has the kind of perspective that, that's okay. That's what I want to be doing. That's what everybody should be doing. And, we get caught up in our stats and how we're individually doing, but someone like that definitely challenges that perspective.
As for when he gets that moment, that chance to get in the game,
there's no one else we'd rather have on this team other than him, and hopefully, he gets in the lineup soon because we really want to see him play, and I think that'd be awesome.
He's definitely earned it. I mean, I'm really hoping he does, and I'm hoping he goes 4 for 4 because he really deserves it. He really does.
And welcome back to Flying Squirrels Insider here on FSI Field. It's now time for our James Limousine Luxury Player of the Week. And we're joined by Squirrels relief pitcher Tyler Mizenko. Tyler, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Jay.
Let's start at the beginning before we get to where you are in your career right now. You grew up in Connecticut, playing in the Northeast, high school baseball. You played your collegiate ball in South Carolina. How do you make that transition going from Connecticut to Winthrop in South Carolina?
It was definitely different at first. But I knew going through college and having half my season snowed out my junior year of high school that I wanted to go down south, be in warmer weather. Rock Hill, South Carolina, where Winthrop is pretty country. It's right outside of Charlotte, so it was different. The guys, everyone was from South Carolina mostly. Took a little while to get used to, but overall, it was a really cool experience, and it definitely got me ready for pro ball.
And a lot of people don't recognize, but you grow up in the Northeast, you really don't have the opportunities as a high school player that some of the guys in the big powerhouse states of California, Texas, Florida do when they're looking to get drafted.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of talent in Connecticut. There's a lot of great ball players. The thing is, scouts don't really come up there a whole lot, so it's tough to get seen. And I wasn't really big into the whole showcase thing. That was never really my goal. I just wanted to go to a good school, get a good education, and take it from there. I mean, I wanted to play professional baseball, but college was my main focus at that point.
Now, while you were at school, the first 2 years, you were a relief pitcher, pretty good, coming out for the first couple of seasons. Then they transitioned you to the rotation. What was that movement like for you?
At first, I wasn't too happy with it. It was a tough transition. It sort of took my mentality away from the game, and I didn't really have the same stuff. More or less, just the starting rotation, it's a whole different mindset. You're more relaxed, you throw more pitches, and it definitely made me a better command pitcher, though. You got to limit your pitches in the starting.
We're going to learn what it's like to come in with runners on base in our demonstration here at FSI Field, but I wanted to ask you, and I think I've asked you a couple of times this season, you're an extreme ground ball pitcher. I mean, a good ground ball to fly out ratio is probably 2 to 1, 2.5 to 1. You're over 3 for your career. How do you get so many ground ball outs?
I'm a sinker ball guy, so that's my main goal. But I don't really have a certain answer for that, I guess. I really go in and attack hitters. I try to throw as many strikes as possible. I really try to work out on hitters' hands. I never want them to get extended because, most power comes from extension. So, I just throw my sinker in and let my infield work, and that's the reason why I hit fungos every day too, if you've noticed that. During batting practice, I'm always hitting fungos to the infielders because, those are guys that worked for me during the game, and I want to make sure that they're getting their work in, and, it's sort of me saying thanks for, everything you guys do for me out there, so.
We're in the age of the shift defensively. We've seen it a lot in the Eastern League and the big leagues. It's going out of proportion. How does that affect a pitcher like you who relies on the ground ball, but sometimes it goes to where the infield isn't, essentially?
Yeah, sometimes it really, it can get you a little angry.
It jobs you a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does, because you'll get a perfect ground ball in right to the shortstop or second baseman, and they'll be playing in the 4-hole or 6-hole, and you'll see it go through, and it gets you a little upset or angry, but in the end of the day, our team's really good defensively, where, I have faith in our coaching staff putting the shift on and our infielders being in the correct position where doesn't really get me too much.
Now, you recently had a couple of rougher outings, I would say, and you made a dramatic change in your personal life. You shaved off your phenomenal mustache.
Oh, phenomenal.
How does it feel without the stash, and will the stash come back at some point this year?
Yes, it most likely will come back. Right now, though, we're not playing too well,
right.
And things needed to change. Trying to get the winning streak back going. We were playing really good baseball. The mustache was only supposed to be for the month of May.
For the mustache for kids.
Yes, but we were playing well, and I figured might as well keep it going. And my last couple outings, they've ran into some bad luck. Ground balls found some holes, but I feel like I've been throwing the ball well, and during this month of August, as long as we're winning, it's going to come back.
In a few words, who's the most entertaining man in the bullpen?
Phil McCormick.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt. He brings a lot of life to the bullpen. He's a lot of fun, good pitcher. Always has something, if someone's down, he always has something to bring you back up.
You feel like every bullpen needs a Phil McCormick?
Every bullpen, yeah,
Right.
no matter what.
Tyler, thanks for being here.
No problem, thanks
All
for
right,
having me.
Tyler Mizenko, with Flying Squirrels relief pitcher, Richmond, trying to turn things around on this homestand. We're going to come back here on FSI Field and learn how to keep runners close in a tight game with guys on base. That's next here on Flying Squirrels Insider. Officially on FSI Field here with reliever Tyler Mazenko. We're going to run through some of the things that a relief pitcher will do when you come into the game with a runner on second base. Right. And first and foremost, I want you to give me a little explanation as to what you're looking at with the runner on second, how you're trying to keep him close.
Main thing is making sure his feet aren't moving. You always want to stop their feet. Third base is actually a pretty easy space to steal. They get a huge jump off the pitcher, and the catcher has no chance. So the main thing is feet.
So we're going to see the most effective pickoff move that you guys have, essentially, and there's a signal that's given.
There's a signal from either the catcher or the shortstop, or sometimes second baseman, mostly shortstop, and we'll run through that real quick. I'm not going to give any signs out.
Okay.
But,
and so it's a timing play, essentially.
It's a timing play.
All right,
yes.
well, let's see it then. We've got my man Sam Hyman as the shortstop. He's the new Rando Moreno.
All right.
Mazenko on the mound, tight game. It's the 8th inning, and you want to either keep the runner close or maybe get out of the inning with a pickoff move. Let's see it. Take us through. And so that's with the shortstop coming in behind the runner,
yes.
And you quickly spinning around.
Right, the shortstop will break back, and right when we turn our head towards home plate, it's a quick break in and spin and throw.
And that's actually worked for you over the course of the season.
Yeah, about a week ago.
Yeah. Now, what's the other move that you'll have if you're just going to try and throw a regular pickoff move to second base?
This other move is just mainly to keep him really close. It's not trying to pick off anyone, just to give him a different look. And it's just an inside move, just to make sure the runner isn't jumping, just more or less keeps him in line.
And that keeps him close in case a base hit goes out to right field and
Correct.
He doesn't get a great jump to try and score the game-winning run.
Right, correct.
And that's been a case for you guys over the past couple of weeks, coming in big situations with guys on base, a more difficult task for the relievers.
Yeah, definitely. When runners come on, it's our goal to not let them score, and keeping a guy as close as possible to second base is the main objective, and then getting the out.
Although, Sam, we could use probably a better shortstop than my man Sam Hyman. He almost played Division III baseball. Tyler, thanks for being here
today. Thanks for having me, Jay.
To trade or not to trade? That's the question for many MLB teams as the deadline looms near. So far, the Giants have not made any moves to improve the big league team at the expense of the minor league system. In 2011, the San Francisco Giants made a bold trade, sending pitcher Zach Wheeler to the New York Mets for a short-term rental of outfielder Carlos Beltran. The move did not pay immediate dividends, and since that time, it feels like the organization has looked internally to fill their playoff needs. With the Giants in the hunt last season, teams were certainly asking about young budding talent such as Joe Panik, Chris Heston, and Matt Duffy, all former Squirrels. Instead of moving those pieces, the Giants doubled down on their homegrown prospects and celebrated their third World Series championship in 5 years. This year, the situation is the same, but the names are different. Beatty, Duvall, Crick, and now Hunter Cole are all the names that other teams may ask for in exchange for a veteran player with an expiring contract. If history tells us anything, the Giants will be just fine if they don't make a move as they march back to the postseason. Thanks for watching us here on FSI. For all the crew and my man Sam Hyman, till next time, we'll see you at the ballpark.
Afraid that guess was too low. And strikeout. Another donation from Jimmy Credit Union to strike out Hunter. Another strikeout.
Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by
The smell of natural gas escaping is a pungent odor like rotten eggs, a bad smell for a really good reason, your safety. If you ever smell the strong rotten egg odor of natural gas, leave the area, go where the smell is no longer present, and call 911.
and James Limousine, driven to serve Richmond for 22 years. JamesLimousine.com, 804-273-1540.